Hello, BookTube. It's a beautiful, warm spring morning here in Boston, and I'm feeling like taking a risk. How about you? Are you feeling adventurous? I've got a little stack of mail here, all of it unopened, unlike yesterday. We sometimes run into trouble. We still don't have a recognized code word like food for thought or words too numerous to mention or anything like that for any book that comes to me picking a fight. We're going to try these anyway, see what happens anyway, and we will just control ourselves. That's all. We will just control ourselves. So the first one is in a thick black package here. Do we have paperwork? Yes, we do have paperwork. All right, what have we got here? What have we got here? Oh my, what is this? All sorts of stuff here. Okay. This is, let's see here. This is by Isabelle Olmo, and it is called Queen and Conqueror. The Queen's Red Guard is the subscription on the title. How lovely. Look at that. I assume this is self-published. Why can't every self-published book look like this? That is incredible. And we got a whole bunch of stuff here. I got a postcard from the author and also a bookmark, which is really nice. And I think this is a sticker. I'll bow to no king. All right. What do we got here? How does one conquer a kingdom without spilling blood? You offer your hand in marriage to the king who killed your husband. Almira's father raised her in political cunning. Since childhood, she's prepared for this moment. She lays out the players one by one like pieces on a board. 1. King Alton, the brother killer, the spare heir who killed his brother for the throne. 2. The perfect seamstress. People must admire a queen and welcome her with open arms even when she arrives with a deadly armada behind her. 3. The Queen's Red Guard. Hence the title up top there. The Queen's Red Guard. These warrior women have one purpose: to protect the queen at all costs, even from her husband, even from herself. Queen and Conqueror is the first book in an epic feminist fantasy series told from the perspective of the women who rule and shape the future. And then there's a quote, I presume from the book: men will never be ready for women like us, and it is not our job to ready them. All right. Okay, so this is really well done. This is Little Fountain Press, and I've got a signature from the author. Not that I would give this up at all. This is from 2022. Oh, okay. It's an epic fantasy, so you get the maps and all. I don't know. One thing we did. Oh, we have family trees described as trees. Very nice. One element that was missing from that cover was any element of the supernatural. It seems very Game of Thrones, only without the dragons. Let's see here. There's an enormous content warning. This tells you everything that's in the book that you might object to. Do we dare go through it? Ableism, abusive relationship, alcoholism, animal death, bodies/corpses, child abuse, sexual child abuse, classism, death and dying, death penalty, decapitation, recreational drinking, the mention of drug use, forced captivity, graphic sex, homophobia, incest, murder, attempted murder, pedophilia, pregnancy, prostitution. Good Lord. Okay, so this has everything. As a content warning. Okay. Well, you already know where I stand on the subject, right? I'm not saying that this is coming from a fantasy world, but if you're putting ableism and classism in the same category as murder and child rape, then maybe you're not. Maybe this is meant to be just, even vomit is in here. Good Lord. It was just St. Patrick's Day here in Boston. Anyway, okay, so this takes place in a fantasy world. What is the fantasy world? So the series title is The Queen's Red Guard, and this is the first book in the series, Queen and Conqueror. What is the oh no. Well, unfortunately, this is the problem that you run into when you are dealing with print and paper bound books as opposed to an ebook, which is gutter loss. What is the name of the kingdom? I don't know. It looks like that's the beginning of an N. Maybe New Verden? But I don't know. There's gutter loss there. Unfortunately, there's really no way to avoid that except to put the whole banner on a flat page instead of crossing the pages. So we get House Sikora and House Balak. That's all just fine, but I actually don't know. I don't know the name of where this takes place. I'll have to figure it out from the book. Interesting. So do we know anything about the author? That'd be nice to know, wouldn't it? Here we go. Born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and raised on a steady diet of 80s fantasy films and Sweet Valley High. Well, you say what you want, but that is great training for writing a fantasy of your own. It really is. Her love of literature was developed at an early age when her grandmother gifted her a poetry collection. Queen and Conqueror will be her first published novel. How fantastic! She graduated with a degree in English literature and a minor in political science from the University of Central Florida. When she's not writing, she loves to travel, cook, and drink wine. One day she hopes to live in Barcelona, her favorite city in the world. Well, if this book does well, parts of Barcelona are quite pricey, but boy, oh boy, what a place to live. And welcoming people. Oh my God, you will be welcome. Fantastic. A steady diet of 80s fantasy films in Sweet Valley High. I now want to know what 80s fantasy films. Could it be that this author has seen any of the Deathstalker movies? Deathstalker 1, my very favorite, the epic Deathstalker 2, and they go on from there. Could it be? Anyway, that is not bad as a preparation, and I really like this cover. So what do we got here? This is the bookmark. Look at that. That must be one of the Queen's Red Guard. That absolutely must be. Yes. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to read the book to figure out what this is. Came for a queen, stayed for a captain. All right, well, I'm all set here. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm not of the type, if this is a sticker, I'm not of the type that puts stickers on my laptops, even the Chromebooks. I just don't do it. But this might be able to go underneath the magnet on the kitchen, on the refrigerator. Fantastic. Okay. All right. A rip-snorting feminist fantasy. No idea what the fantasy elements are, aside from it being just in an alternate world. I'd be interested to find that out. And this is from 2022, so I'm not ordinarily when I get books in the mail, I don't know how much this mail haul is going to account for that. I have to slot things in. I read, 90% of what I read is new releases. And so if I get a new release for June, in the middle of March, I'm not going to read it. If I get a release for the end of March, I'm going to give that a priority. But this is already out, so I will already try this. And again, this is a debut novel, and it's self-published. I assume that what was the name of that? Little Fountain Press. I'm assuming that this is either self-published or a very small publishing house. So, if it sounds up your alley, this author is, ordinarily we get books from the mainstream publishers on this channel, and they, no offense to their great publicists who I love, but those publishers don't know whether you live or die. They don't have any idea whether or not you exist. Your business has been sort of factored in, unless it's a runaway bestseller. But something like this, your business means a lot to the author. So if that description sounds, this is a really well-designed thing, a nice heavy paperback. If that description sounds good to you, well, this is a debut author. This is a new story to follow. You might want to go to, I've already forgotten. You might want to go to Little Fountain Press or to the author's own website. This is Isabelle Olmo, 80s fantasy movies and Sweet Valley High. That is awesome. You might want to go to her website and order a book. Find this on Amazon and order a copy. She will be grateful. Authors who don't have the gigantic superstructure of a big 5 publisher, well, a lot of you are those authors. You know that makes a difference. This sounds really good. So that's our first one. We are off to a fine start. Okay, let's do this next one here. This is a block package, so I'm thinking that it's from one of you. I'm thinking that it's a gift here of some kind. So let's see what we have here. What could this be, baby? You're not much of a bomb-sniffing dog, are you, Frida? You really care. We had such a hilarious encounter this morning on the morning's dog walk. We encountered a big, black, floofy dog. Those big, floofy dogs that have long hair and the big plume of a tail. They're always happy. And Frida can't stand happy, she also can't stand big, and she can't stand floofy. She can't stand much. she doesn't really like dogs except as submissive employees. And this dog stopped very dramatically on the sidewalk when he saw her, and she stopped. And then we were getting closer and closer, and then suddenly I realized that we knew this dog, and he had grown enormously. He was like 5 times the size we met him as a puppy. And we both realized about the same time that we know this dog, this enormous thing, this 110-pound dog. And he sniffed Frida, and she said, you're a kind of a loser. Why don't you get a haircut? And then he sniffed me, and he immediately remembered me, and he started bouncing around and going nuts. And he was starting to do the whole play invitation, even though he's 10 times Frida's size. Oh. Oh my. Okay, who is this from? Oh, this is from Elizabeth at Lizzie Fay Loves Books. This is a collection of Regency romances. How wonderful. So we have this. This is a Candlelight Regency special, very old thing. This is The Captive Bride by Lucy Phillips Stewart. Don't think I've ever read this author. Wow. Fantastic. So this is from Dell. Do not know that line at all. Here we have Alison Lane, A Bird in Hand. We just saw this on my library tour, so this is a double, but these others aren't. Claire Darcy. This is a Signet Regency romance before they started calling them that. This is Cressida. Familiar cover artist, but this is before they even had. See, this is before they had the label there. Wow. Okay, so what is this? This is from the late 70s? 1977, And then finally, this thing is Berkeley. This is Fiona Hill, The Autumn Rose. Fantastic. So that's 3 out of 4. That's much better odds than I usually have. And 2 of these are from lines of Regencies that I don't know. I've never encountered them before. Great. Thank you very much. That is wonderful. All right. And then we have a box. So we had an indie author, and then we had a gift. So the box is going to be the only thing from a big traditional publisher. And boxes are usually good. That usually means a big finished copy of something. That would be really nice. I'm always in the mood for big finished copies of things. There aren't many big books that are out in the market yet. There are a couple that are coming in the autumn. I'm not really thinking about them yet, but let's see. Let's get this paperwork out of here. Get all the paperwork out of here. Good Lord, there's a lot of paperwork in here. What is this? This heavy thing, whatever it is. What is this? Why is there so much paperwork in here? That's strange. Wow. Okay, this comes out in late April. This is by Daniel Jute, and it is called Transparency, The Material History of an Idea. Great big heavy thing. Oh yeah, it's got illustrations all throughout. Just color illustrations everywhere, not just a set in the middle, but color illustrations everywhere. Okay, so that explains why it's so heavy, but what is this? Transparency is a mantra of our day. It is key to the Western understanding of a liberal society. We expect transparency from political institutions, corporations, and the media. But how did it become such a powerful and global idea? From ancient glass to Apple's corporate headquarters, this book is the first to probe how Western people have experienced, conceptualized, and evaluated transparency, the concept of transparency. The author argues that the experience of transparency has been inextricably linked to one element of Western architecture, the glass window. Windows are meant to be unnoticed. Yet a historical perspective reveals the role that glass has played in shaping how we see and interpret the world. A seemingly pure material, glass has been endowed throughout history with political, social, and cultural meaning in manifold and sometimes conflicting ways. How odd. Okay, great. Fantastic. I I, I would never have thought of a whole book on the concept of transparency and the history of it. No wonder it's heavily illustrated. You need to do that in a book like this. All right, well, this comes out in late April, and it's not even late March, so this can't go on the list right away, but it'll be on the list for April, absolutely. Transparency. Unfortunately, this is probably going to be very expensive. Yes, I mean, it's heavy. A lot of times, academic publishers will not fess up. $45. This is $45. And for that, you get a lot of artwork all throughout here if you're interested in the subject. So we have Transparency from Yale University Press, the great folks at Yale. So that's our only mainstream book. Then we have The Queen and Conqueror, the first book in the Queen's Red Guard series. Feminist fantasy about a female main character who sounds like she has every reason for long brooding plans of revenge. And she's got the armed guard to back her up. That is just a great recipe. Although I confess I'm still stuck on that. 80s fantasy movies and Sweet Valley High. That is a great pedigree for an author. You could tell you're going to get good storytelling from that. So feel free, make your presence known to the author. Let her know that you're on board to try this book. Of course, it could still be bad. We don't know that. With a storytelling pedigree like the one she has, I doubt it. But the proof will be in the pudding. I will read this tonight. And then we have 4 Regencies from Elizabeth at Lizzie Fay Loves Books, the host of March Mystery Madness. So not a bad mail haul, and not a dangerous one, it turns out, either. So there you go. Great. Fantastic. So we'll wrap this up. We got through the mail. It is still very early on Saturday here. I am anticipating trouble later in the day, so I'm trying to get everything that I can possibly get done in the morning. And I'm aided in that fact by the fact that her Nibs is not a morning person. She doesn't really want to do much in the morning. So more mail could come. I have a feeling that if it does, it'll come after sunset. So we'll just save it for tomorrow. But anyway, one way or another, I will be on top of it, and you will be foremost in my mind as always. So I will wrap this up for now. I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.